Let's talk about the one thing every single one of us has in common. It's not where we're from. It's not our language. It's not our dreams. It's this simple, undeniable fact. One day we will die. Our bodies, these incredible, complex, walking, talking, feeling collections of cells and energy, will one day stop. The machinery will wind down. The light, whatever we feel that light of consciousness to be, will go out. We know this. Intellectually, we all know this. It's as predictable and natural as the falling of leaves in autumn, as the setting of the sun at the end of the day. Birth, growth, decay, death. It's the cycle of everything in nature. So then, why? Why does the mere thought of it, the quiet whisper of it in the back of our minds, sometimes stir up a deep, primal sense of dread? If it's so normal, so built into the fabric of existence itself, why does it feel like the ultimate tragedy? This isn't a casual worry. This is a profound, human-sized mystery. It feels bigger than just the end of a physical body. It feels like standing at the edge of a cliff, looking into a fog so thick you can't see a single foot in front of you. What's down there? Is it just nothing? An endless, silent, dreamless sleep? Or is there something else? A new kind of existence we can't even begin to picture, with our minds shaped by this world. And it's not just about what happens to us. It's about everything we are. This personality, this collection of memories, the smell of your grandmother's house, the feeling of your first love, the sound of your best friend's laughter. This identity you've spent a lifetime building, your name, your job, your reputation, the story you tell yourself about who you are, the projects you started, the art you wanted to create, the places you never got to see. Is it all just deleted, like a book thrown into a fire? Every chapter, every word, turning to ash in an instant. For all of human history, we've turned our brightest minds to this question. Philosophers have debated it in great halls. Scientists have probed the nature of consciousness, trying to find where it goes. Poets and artists have tried to paint its mystery. Every culture, every religion has its own story, its own map of the great beyond. Some maps promise a wonderful, eternal reunion. Others warn of judgment. Some maps say there's simply nothing, and this life is a brief, brilliant, and ultimately meaningless flash in the dark. We have so many answers, and yet, for so many of us, the fear remains, the mystery remains, the heart still clenches. So, is that it? Are we just stuck between terrifying stories, hoping we picked the right one? Is there another way to look at this? Not from a place of blind belief or cold science, but from a place of direct, honest observation? Centuries ago, a profound teacher offered a path that wasn't about giving a final answer, but about asking a better question. He didn't hand out a map of the afterlife. Instead, he said, Before we worry about what happens after death, let's understand what is happening in life. Let's look with clear and gentle eyes at the nature of this very existence. Let's examine what we call the self that is so afraid of ending. In that understanding, we may find a freedom that no story can provide. This is an invitation not to adopt a new belief, but to begin a different kind of inquiry. An inquiry that starts not with death, but with life. Not with the future, but with this very present moment. What are we really afraid of? To find peace with death, we first have to get really honest about our fear. We have to take it out, hold it in our hands, and look at it closely. What is it exactly? Think about a horror movie. The scariest parts are almost never when you see the monster. The scariest parts are the creak on the staircase when you're alone, the shadow moving just at the edge of your vision, the tense, quiet music. It's the not knowing, the anticipation, the uncertainty. Death is the ultimate uncertainty. It's the door to the room we can never come back from to tell anyone what's inside. That unknown is terrifying to a mind that craves knowing, craves control, craves a predictable story. But let's go deeper. When you imagine yourself gone, what's the worst part? Is it the pain? Maybe. But we can handle pain. We've all been in pain. Is it the thought of your body decaying? That's unsettling, but it feels distant. For most of us, the true core of the fear is the idea of annihilation, the complete and total erasure of you, the end of your point of view, the silencing of that inner voice that's reading these words right now, the idea that every experience, every thought, every feeling that has ever flowed through this being called you will be utterly extinguished, as if it never mattered at all. It feels like a cosmic injustice. This I feels so real, so vivid, so central to the universe. How can something so vivid, so aware, just stop? It's like believing the main character of the most important story ever told simply vanishes on the last page. It feels wrong. We spend our lives building this I. We collect things for it: achievements, degrees, relationships, possessions, likes, followers. We defend it when it's insulted. We polish its story. We are the proud curators of the Museum of Me, and death feels like a bomb threat to that entire museum. It threatens to reduce every precious artifact to dust. This is why we try to build legacies. We write books, have children, make art, build companies, donate buildings with our names on them. It's a deep human attempt to shout into the future, I was here, I mattered, don't forget me. We are trying to outrun the eraser, to leave a mark so permanent that even death can't scrub it away. But think about this for a moment. Think about an old castle. People lived there. They loved, fought, dreamed, and died within those walls. Now it's a ruin. Tourists walk through it. Who remembers the name of the stone mason who laid the fifth stone in the west wall? Who remembers the specific dreams of the cook in the kitchen on a random Tuesday in 1347? They lived full, vivid lives, just as real as yours. And yet, their individual I has faded into the collective history of a place. This can feel depressing. It can make our struggle seem small, but the teacher's insight wasn't meant to depress us. It was meant to point to a flaw in our very first assumption. He asked a revolutionary question. What if the I you are so desperately trying to save from death is not what you think it is? What if you are looking for the dancer and missing the dance entirely? What if the problem isn't death, but our misunderstanding of life? This is the crucial pivot. We are afraid of losing a solid, permanent self, but is the self actually solid? Is it permanent? Or are we clinging to a mirage? Are you what you think you are? This is the most challenging and the most important part of our inquiry. We need to investigate the very thing we're trying to protect, the self. Close your eyes for a second. Think of yourself. Who comes to mind? Probably an image of your body, a collection of memories, your name, your personality traits. I'm kind, I'm anxious, I'm funny. It feels like a stable, continuous thing, right? The same you that was 10 years old is the you reading this now. It feels like a captain in a ship, steering your body through life. But let's look with a microscope. Let's break down the experience of being you right now, in this moment. First, there's the body. Is that you? Well, your body is completely different than it was 7 years ago. Almost every cell has been replaced. The atoms that make up your hand were once in stars, in soil, in the air. Your body is a temporary, flowing arrangement of borrowed parts, constantly changing. It's more like a river than a statue. Okay, so maybe you are your thoughts. Sit and watch your mind for 1 minute. Thoughts pop up like bubbles. A memory, a plan for later, a judgment, a random song lyric. They appear out of nowhere, hang around for a moment, and vanish. You don't choose most of them. They just happen. If you are your thoughts, which one are you? The angry one from 2 minutes ago, or the peaceful one now? You are the awareness of the thoughts, not the thoughts themselves. Surely you are your feelings, but feelings are even more fleeting. Joy comes and goes. Anger flares and fades. Sadness rises and falls like a tide. They wash through you. You feel them, but you are not permanently any one of them. You are the space in which they happen. What about your memories? Your story? That feels more solid. But your memory is famously unreliable. You edit your story every time you tell it. It's a narrative, a constantly revised autobiography, not a fixed thing. So, where is this solid, singular, permanent I? When you search for it directly, in your present experience, it's slippery. It's like trying to grab a handful of water. You can't find its center. The teacher suggested we are not a solid thing, but a process, a happening, a verb, not a noun. Think of a whirlpool in a river. It has a recognizable shape, a function. You can point to it and say, "That's the whirlpool." But is it a separate thing from the river? No. It's a pattern of movement in the water. If you tried to take the whirlpool out and put it on the bank, it would cease to exist. Its existence is dependent on the constant flow of the river. You are like that whirlpool, a temporary, ever-changing pattern of energy, thoughts, sensations, and perceptions, all dependent on a million causes and conditions. Your DNA, your upbringing, the food you ate today, the people you met. There is no unchanging, independent core to be found. There is only the flowing, changing process of being. This might sound unsettling at first. It feels like we're being told we don't exist. But that's not it. The experience is real. The love is real. The pain is real. The joy is real. What's being questioned is the idea that there's a separate, tiny, permanent manager inside having the experience. There is just the experience itself, flowing. Why does this matter for our fear of death? Because if you spend your life trying to protect and preserve a solid self that you believe you are, you're trying to protect a mirage. You are the whirlpool fearing the day the river stops flowing. But the whirlpool was never separate. It was always the river, just dancing in a particular way for a while. When the conditions change, the dance changes. The water keeps flowing. Life and death are not enemies. They are partners. Now we come to a new way of seeing. If the self isn't a fixed statue, but a flowing process, then what is death? We see life and death as opposites, black and white, on and off, here and gone. But what if they are two sides of the same coin? What if they are partners in the same dance? Look at nature with this lens. A tree is alive. It grows leaves. In autumn, the leaves die and fall. But that death isn't a waste. The leaves decompose and become nutrients for the soil, which feeds the very same tree, allowing it to grow new leaves in the spring. The death of the leaf is essential for the continued life of the tree. Life needs death. They are in a constant, intimate embrace. Your own body is doing this right now. Millions of your cells die every second. Old skin cells flake off. Cells in your stomach lining are shed. This microscopic death is absolutely necessary for your life. If old cells didn't die, you couldn't grow, you couldn't heal. You would be a stagnant lump. The process of living is a process of constant dying and renewing. So, the big final death of the body, is it really so different in kind? Or is it just the same process on a grander, final scale? The body's elements break down and return to the earth, the air, the water. They become part of new life. Grass, insects, trees, other animals. The atoms that once danced in the pattern of you will dance in countless other patterns. The energy doesn't vanish, it transforms. The teacher's point was profound. You cannot have life without death. They define each other. Trying to have one without the other is like trying to have a coin with only one side. It's impossible. Our fear comes from wanting the heads of life while desperately rejecting the tails of death. But you can't have the coin without both. This is why he encouraged people to contemplate death, not run from it. To see it clearly, he said, in essence, of course you will lose everything you hold dear. Of course your body will fail. Of course every moment is slipping away. See that. Don't look away. Let that truth sink in, not as a nightmare, but as the most fundamental fact of your existence. When you stop resisting that fact, something incredible happens. A pressure releases. The futile struggle to build a permanent castle on sand stops. You see the sand for what it is. And in that seeing, you are free to build beautiful, temporary sandcastles, knowing their nature, loving them all the more because they won't last. So, what now? If we take this in, that the self is fluid, that death is part of life's flow, how does that actually change how we walk through our days? It's not about becoming passive or nihilistic. It's about living with a new kind of intensity and freedom. First, it brings a profound sense of release from burden. You stop carrying the impossible weight of making yourself permanent. You stop the exhausting project of building a monument to your I. The anxiety of, am I doing enough? Will I be remembered? Starts to soften. You realize the point wasn't to etch your name in stone, but to let your life be a genuine expression, however brief. Second, it unleashes a deep, fearless appreciation for the present. When you know in your bones that this will not last, this conversation, this sunset, this feeling of health, this phase of your child's life, you don't take it for granted. You pay attention. The present moment stops being a stepping stone to some future achievement and becomes the main event. The ordinary becomes extraordinary. The taste of water, the warmth of a sweater, the sound of rain, these aren't background noise. They are the fleeting, precious jewels of existence. Third, it transforms your relationships. When you see others not as fixed characters, but as flowing, changing processes like yourself, you hold them more gently. You listen more. You judge less. You love them for who they are right now, not for who you want them to be forever. And because you know your time with them is limited, you waste less of it on petty arguments, on silent treatments, on taking them for granted. Fourth, it changes how you handle loss and grief. Pain is still there. When someone you love dies, it hurts. It hurts terribly. That pain is the price of love, and it's natural. But suffering, that layer of, this shouldn't have happened, "It's not fair" begins to dissolve. You understand that to love something is to sign up for the pain of its eventual leaving. You can mourn the specific, beautiful pattern that has dissolved back into the world without raging against the law of nature that made it possible in the first place. Finally, it invites you to live with integrity right now. The question shifts from, "What will happen to me after I die?" to, "How shall I live before I die?" You start to align your actions with what feels deeply true and compassionate, not because you'll be rewarded later, but because living that way creates less internal conflict, more peace right here. You clean up your relationships. You say the kind things. You do the work that matters to you. You forgive. You let go of grudges. You live as if you could die at any moment, not in panic, but in poignant, purposeful clarity. This journey doesn't end with a neat answer about an afterlife. It ends with a transformation of your relationship with life itself. We started with a fear of the unknown, a terror of annihilation. We investigated and found that the self we were trying to save was more like a story, a current, a pattern. We saw that death isn't the opposite of life, but its necessary partner. And from that seeing, a new way to live emerged. The ultimate freedom isn't knowing for sure what happens next. The ultimate freedom is no longer needing to know. It's the freedom of dropping the exhausting, impossible project of building a permanent me and securing its future. It's the freedom of resting in the flow of experience itself, trusting the process of life and death, just as you might trust the process of breathing in and breathing out. You realize you are not a fragile leaf terrified of falling from the tree. You are the whole process of the tree, the roots, the trunk, the branch, the leaf, and the space where the leaf falls and decomposes. You are the cycle itself. When you live from this understanding, death loses its power to terrorize. It becomes a sobering, gentle reminder, a friend even, though a stern one, that whispers, "Don't wait. Love now. Be honest now. Appreciate now. This is it. This is the precious, fleeting gift. Don't miss it by fearing its end." So, should we fear death? Perhaps the better question has become, can we thank it? Can we thank this great mystery for teaching us the value of the morning light, for deepening our love, for forcing us to let go of what doesn't matter, and for showing us, finally, how to truly, fully, fearlessly live?